let's make a custom fluid in Hytale. Let's head to our pack, and if you haven't already got a pack, then follow my previous video in order to create one. So the first thing we're going to want to do is create a new item by clicking that plus icon, head down to fluid, and click fluid, and we're going to copy lava. And remember, change it to Hytale, and we're going to copy lava underscore source, and rename ours. I'm going to go for a regeneration liquid, so when you're in it, you're going to get regenerated, like given a regeneration buff, so let's call ours regen source. And now that we've created that, we now have our own fluid source. So going through these from top to bottom, click show all properties. The first thing I'm going to want to do is change the texture of it to be a pink color. I've made a custom texture already, so I will leave a link to that in the description for you. Alright, so there we are, the regen fluid.png. Select that, so that's now going to be a lovely pink color. We're going to drop down the effect here. This you can kind of just keep as lava, and the ticker is an important one. So this is quite a slow flow rate right now because lava spreads more slowly, but I want my regen liquid to spread twice as fast as lava. So let's change it to 1. And up, down in collisions, this allows us to customize what we want to spawn when our liquid collides with water. So this means that basically if our liquid collides with water, like the liquid water, then it will spawn cobble, and if it collides with a source, then it will spawn stone. But let's just say we want it to spawn our ore underscore amethyst underscore stone. Make sure you add the underscore stone, because otherwise if you try and spawn ore underscore amethyst is this one here. This is not a block, therefore it will completely glitch out your game like I made a mistake of doing, so do not do that. You want to make sure it spawns this one. So ore underscore amethyst underscore stone. So yeah, change both of those. And now that means that that should spawn whenever it collides with water. Let's change the light to be a more like pink color. Why not? Let's do, yeah, pink color. Particle color again can be a sort of pink color. And this is really easy. This is now creating basically pink lava. And now we want to come down into interactions, collisions. Keep dropping it down until you find the apply effect. And then when it comes to next, apply effect, effect ID, we want to search in the Hytale space regen. So for example, we can get a health regen buff tier 2. This now means when we get in our liquid as a player, it should give us a health regen tier 2 buff. So as you can see, it means it only happens in survival mode. And now that's our source block done. So what we then want to do is come into creating another new item. So again, we want a fluid again. And as you saw last time when we searched for lava, like the lava fluid, there is 2. So this is a source block. So you know how you have the source and then it spreads out. When it spreads out, that is the non-source. So we want to copy lava here, and then for example, we can just put regen fluid, as that's what's going to be spreading. So in here, this is mainly just a parent thing. So we just want to change it to be the parent liquid, which is our regen source, and then supported by regen underscore source as well. And that's pretty much it for this block here. Now these two are basically made. The only thing you want to make sure you do is down in here, when it comes to spread fluid in the regen source, you want to change this to be the regen fluid you just made. Now when it spreads, it should spread out this lovely regen fluid. And the other thing that you're going to need is you're going to need the actual block to place it with. So for example, item, let's copy lava once again. So for example, we want to copy fluid underscore lava. As you can see, it's an item. So let's copy that and let's call it fluid underscore regen. And come down to block and then rendering. And you'll see that in the block textures, we should also change this to be the same asset that we had before, the regenfluid.png. So now when we go into general, change the icon, you can see we've got our lovely pink fluid instead here. And then also let's just go into translation properties and change the fluid underscore lava to fluid underscore regen. So let's copy this, as we're going to need this later. And we'll probably want to change the block light of this block to be, again, a pinker color. So that means when you're holding it, it will show like a pink color. Particle color, again, let's just change it to pink. And effect, we can kind of just leave it as lava. Obviously, you can make your own custom effects and more custom particles if you want, but this is just to show how easy it is to create a custom liquid within Hytale. So now this is done, we've copied our name. We now need to update the server.lang file. If you do not remember how to do this, let's exit to main menu. And then let's go into worlds and click on your world, right click on it, and open folder. This will now bring you to the folder of this save. You then want to head into mods, into your pack, into server, into languages, and into server.lang. So let's paste that in there, and then let's call this, we want to call this Regen Fluid, for example. Save that. Now, when we save our world settings and load into the world, the name and the icon of our fluid should be updated, and we should be able to get that as a block to place down. So if we search here for regen, there we are. We have our fluid underscore regen fluid. As you can see, when we're holding it, it's emitting a nice pink light. And let's put it into the ground here. So there we are. Okay, so it's still lava. The only thing we forgot to do is change the interaction type of what happens when you actually place this block. So let's go back into the asset editor once again. So then you want to go into item and then fluid regen. If you can't see it, don't go into this one. This is not the right section. You want to come down to the actual item section, fluid underscore regen. So what happens here is that when we interact, we go into secondary here. This is basically saying what happens when you place the fluid, it spawns lava. So we just want to change this to be our regen source. So now it'll place our source. So now let's come out of this, grab a block, fill this in to get rid of the lava, and now place our liquid. There we are. We now have our lovely pink and bright lava regen sort of liquid. And if we go into survival mode, when we jump in it, you should see, there we are. We have a lovely little regeneration buff in the bottom left. And our health is slowly regenerating over time. Obviously, we could increase the tier if we wanted it to be a stronger buff. But yeah, that's it for now. So the only other thing we wanted to test is if our custom block actually spawns when it collides with water. Alright, so let's place this block over here and water over here. And when they collide, there we are. We get a lovely amethyst ore. Now, it is a tiny bit glitchy, as you can see. If I place water on top, nothing is actually happening. So the way this works is because Hytale's water currently doesn't detect for our new liquid is the problem. So if we search water and go into water source and then go into ticker, collisions, and then as you can see, we don't have any more custom collisions here, and we can't add any more collisions because this is a read-only asset. So for example, for water to be placed on top of our liquid and then for it to turn into a thing, we would need to be able to customize what collisions happen here. So that's kind of an issue. It only works with lava, but this does mean that if instead of this we have water inside, we have determined it so that when our regen fluid collides with the water and like lands on top of it, then it will turn into amethyst, as you can see. So this is now turned fully into amethyst, which is a bit of a one-way issue right now, but I'm sure the team will work on a fix and improvements to this sort of stuff, or maybe even you can do it through plugins or making your own custom water, however you want to get around it. But yeah, that is literally how you can make custom fluid in Hytale and even make it spawn a block that you've made already. One thing you will notice is as you jump around, as you can see, the particles are kind of dark and red. That's basically because we're using the lava particles that are already pre-made for us and then just changing them to be pink. But because they're already orange, making them pink kind of overlays that on top, and hence why we get this kind of really saturated and slightly messy kind of particle. And if we actually go into the liquid, you will see that it's also orange inside. So there are some nuances that you can play around with particles, but this is how you get a basic fluid setup that looks different and has different effects to the normal default Hytale gameplay. So thank you all for watching. Remember to use code Ember in the Hytale shop to support me. I'd greatly appreciate that. And please also leave a like and subscribe if you want to see some more tutorials, and also let me know down in the comments what other tutorials you want to see next. But until then, take care.